Palmerston, one of the most remote islands in the world, accessible only by boat.
This is Palmerston Island, a remote coral atoll in the Cook Islands, nearly 300 miles from the nearest populated island. Around 35 people live here, making it one of the most isolated communities on Earth. But what makes Palmerston truly unusual is that every resident shares the same last name, Marsters. They are all descended from one man. The story begins in 1863, when an English ship's carpenter and barrel maker named William Marsters arrived on the uninhabited island with 3 Polynesian wives, Sarah, Tippo, and Matabia, who were cousins. He had first seen the atoll years earlier while working on a whaling ship, and was so captivated by it that he returned to settle permanently. Hired as a caretaker for coconut plantations, he built a new life from scratch, using shipwrecked timber and driftwood to construct homes, a church, and a school. Before his death in 1899, William divided the island into 3 parts, one for each wife and her descendants. He fathered about 23 children, and over time his family spread across the Pacific. By 1973, more than 1,000 descendants lived in places like Rarotonga and New Zealand. Today, only 3 family branches remain on Palmerston, each tied to one wife's line, and marriage within the same branch is forbidden. Getting here is difficult. There's no airport, no airline service, and no regular ferry. The island relies on a cargo boat from Rarotonga, roughly 310 miles away, and the trip takes about 8 days across open ocean. Even that service runs only once or twice a month, and departures can be delayed for days or weeks. Private yachts visit occasionally, but frequent means maybe a dozen a year. Arriving isn't simple either. The reef surrounding Palmerston is narrow and dangerous, so islanders rush out in small boats to guide visitors through. But the rush has another reason. The first person to greet a visitor becomes their host. That family must house and feed you, and they alone are allowed to trade with you during your stay. The tradition creates friendly rivalry between families and reveals how isolation has shaped its own rules. Once you arrive, leaving isn't easy. You wait for the next cargo ship, which could be weeks or months away. Life on Palmerston means committing to 1 square mile of land, shared by 35 people, all related. So what is daily life like here? There are no shops, restaurants, hotels, or gas stations. The island has only 2 toilets for everyone. Drinking water comes from rain collected in cisterns because there is no natural freshwater source. Every drop matters. Modern utilities exist, but only recently. Solar power transformed life, replacing limited diesel electricity. Communication comes through Vodafone Cook Islands for phone and internet, plus Starlink for high-speed satellite access. Despite this connection to the outside world, survival still depends on the lagoon. Islanders fish almost daily, catching shellfish and parrotfish. When cargo ships arrive, frozen parrotfish is exported to Rarotonga, providing one of the island's main sources of income. There's no store, yet money is still necessary. Residents earn it by selling fish or working government jobs. 14 people now work for the island administration. Each morning they gather for prayers wearing matching blue uniforms before heading out to maintain generators, plant vegetables, or manage community tasks. Palmerston has 1 school and 1 church. At school, children begin the day with a pledge, hand on a Bible, promising themselves to Jesus Christ, to the Cook Islands, and to their school. The church anchors island life. On Sundays, a bell rings for service, and after worship, the island falls silent. No work, no play, only rest. Pathways are swept clean daily and lined with coconut logs and small lamps that glow at night. At 4 p.m., about half the population gathers to play volleyball. Kids invent their own version of baseball. People swim in the clear lagoon. There are no cars, but most families own large aluminum boats for fishing and travel around the reef. Life is peaceful, but fragile. If someone becomes seriously ill, they must travel 300 miles to Rarotonga for treatment. There is no hospital here, no delivery services, no entertainment culture, no constant noise, just fishing, family, and faith. And beneath this simple life lies a problem that could end the community. The population once seemed secure. By 1973, more than 1,000 descendants of William Marsters existed worldwide, but most left the island, moving to Rarotonga or New Zealand, and many never returned. The reason is deeply personal. When everyone shares the same ancestry, finding a safe partner becomes difficult. William's rule required marriage outside your own family branch, but with only a few dozen people, options are limited. A former mayor once admitted that he discovered after marriage that his wife's father and his own father were brothers. By then, they already had children. Similar stories exist across generations. Young people leave to avoid genetic risks and to find broader opportunities. Cook Islanders automatically receive New Zealand citizenship, making migration easy. In New Zealand, they find education, jobs, and a larger dating pool. Some return after years abroad, but many don't. Elders worry the population will continue shrinking. The government created jobs and improved services to slow the decline, and for a while it worked. Palmerston became one of the few outer islands where numbers briefly grew. But the trend reversed again. Residents even invited outsiders to settle, hoping for new families and new blood. So far, few volunteers have chosen life on the edge of the world. The island that began with one man and 3 wives now faces the reality that everyone being related may not be sustainable forever. Yet many refuse to leave because Palmerston is defined by tradition, traditions that have survived for more than 150 years. Before he died, William Marsters established laws that still guide life today. Only his descendants can own land. The island remains divided into 3 sections tied to each wife's lineage. Marriage within a branch is forbidden, and major decisions are made collectively through a 6-member council, 2 representatives from each family. Palmerston also has a linguistic oddity. It's the only island in the Cook Islands where English is the native language. William spoke with a British accent, likely from Gloucester, and generations later his descendants still speak with echoes of that same tone. British holidays like Duke's Day and Queen Victoria's birthday are celebrated in the middle of Polynesia. But Polynesian culture never disappeared. Inside homes, families speak native languages and maintain traditional customs. The island became a blend. British structure outside, Polynesian identity within. One tradition dating back to William is the hunting of the bosun bird, also known as the red-tailed tropic bird. Every 28th day of the month from June onward, islanders hunt these birds on nearby islets. The practice began as a way to manage bird populations while adding protein to the diet. Visitors describe the taste as gamey. Locals consider it part of their heritage. The visitor hosting tradition remains strong too. The first person to greet newcomers becomes their host, responsible for food, shelter, and guidance. Only that host family may trade with visitors, turning hospitality into a subtle competition, one that visitors say results in extraordinary warmth. Palmerston also keeps meticulous records. For more than a century, council meetings, court decisions, and major events have been written down. William's original house still stands, built from shipwrecked timber with foundations buried 3 meters deep to withstand cyclones. Over 150 years later, it remains intact. Church life continues to shape daily rhythm. Everyone wears white on Sundays. After service, silence returns. Pathways are swept every day, lamps lit at night, and order maintained with quiet pride. These customs survived isolation, storms, and population decline. But the future may bring challenges tradition alone cannot solve. Palmerston is a coral atoll, and its highest point rises only about 20 feet above sea level, what locals jokingly call the mountain. Pacific Islands are among the first places to feel the effects of climate change. Sea levels in parts of the Western Pacific are rising nearly twice as fast as the global average, with several inches already recorded since the early 1990s. For Palmerston, this means flooding, saltwater damage to soil, and stronger storms. The island has endured devastating hurricanes before. In 1883, 1914, 1923, 1926, 1931, 1935, 1942, and 1967. But rising seas make future storms even more dangerous. There is nowhere higher to retreat. Some propose building an airport. It would transform life. Faster medical evacuations, easier travel, reliable supplies, and potential tourism income. But the cost would be enormous. Trees would need clearing. The lagoon could be damaged, pollution would follow, and the quiet isolation that defines Palmerston might disappear. Residents are divided. Some see an airport as survival. Others believe it would destroy the island's identity. One elder warned that the lagoon itself could be ruined within a year. The debate reflects a deeper question. Should Palmerston adapt to the modern world or protect what makes it unique? There have been small victories. Solar power arrived in 2015, replacing limited diesel electricity and allowing power around the clock. Starlink brought faster internet. In 2024, the island was declared rat-free after a successful eradication effort, helping the ecosystem recover. Government jobs temporarily stabilize population numbers, but overall decline continues. Depending on who is away in Rarotonga, the population fluctuates between roughly 28 and 35 people. Residents know time may be running out. Some believe the community will survive another 150 years. Others are uncertain. William Marsters arrived in 1863 and built a home designed to survive cyclones. More than 160 years later, that house still stands. 6 generations have kept his community alive, preserving a way of life that exists nowhere else on Earth. But tradition cannot stop rising seas. Community strength cannot prevent hurricanes. And isolation, once the island's protection, now threatens its future. Will Palmerston survive another 50 years, another 100, or will it become another island swallowed by climate change? The residents don't pretend to know. They keep fishing. They sweep the pathways. They ring the church bell every Sunday. They continue living as they always have, because for now, Palmerston still exists. Still remote, still unique, still home to a few dozen people who all share the same name. As long as they remain, the story of William Marsters and his 3 wives continues on a tiny island in the middle of the ocean, where everyone knows everyone, and where the sea rises inch by inch, year by year. This is Palmerston Island, one of the last truly remote communities on Earth. How much longer will it remain?